Would it make you the jerk to send a Venmo request to someone 4 years after letting them borrow your pressure washer? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for reminding my mom that she disappeared for 6 years? My, 18, mom and dad divorced 6 years ago. Her new husband didn't want her to see my dad, and so she let my dad have custody of me and didn't exercise visitation. She contacted us last month, saying she had divorced him and would like to reconnect. Dad told me it's up to me, so I said, why not? Things have been kind of awkward between us. Obviously, I've changed a lot since last time she saw me. When she came over yesterday, I was reading an offer from a gentleman. My mom said, "You're too young to be reading these toxic romance books." I just stared at her and said, "I was 12 when you disappeared 6 years ago. I'm 18 now." She spluttered for a moment and then told me there's no need to use that word, that she made a mistake and there's no reason to throw it in her face. Yeah, I'm gonna say not the jerk here. I think that there's a component of accountability that comes with being a parent, and so, yeah, in some form or fashion, it needs to be addressed and not swept under the rug, so yeah, not the jerk. Pooperintendent replied, "Not the jerk. Accepting any criticism or correction from a parent who's abandoned you from 12 to 18 would be difficult. You've learned how to grow up without her and don't need her showing up now trying to mother you. That ship sailed, piloted by her. That all said, I'm sure her abandonment hurt you. Maybe you two can build a bridge back to each other, but it'll take time. Time you'll need to be convinced you can trust her again. She can't demand anything from you. It will have to be earned for you to believe in her at all again. She proved herself to be a parent you could not rely on. Please know that no child, including you, deserves to be abandoned by a parent. That was her failing, not yours. Your words to her were accurate and spot on. Sadly, she doesn't sound like someone who has a clue what she did and how wrong and hurtful it was. Likely, she will never be the mother you wish for. And yes, you were a child when she left, and you're now a young adult. She missed that entire transformation. Also, hi, I'm Brendan, and if you enjoy these Am I the Jerk videos, it would be amazing if you dropped a like or comment below if you're listening to our podcast. That being said, our next story is, am I the jerk for telling a woman that a normal-sized couldn't satisfy her after she made a comment about guys? My boyfriend, 25-year-old male, and I, 24-year-old male, are staying at a hostel in Bangkok that hosts travelers from around the world. Guests often gather in the common room to share experiences and create moments together while exploring new places. Last night, my boyfriend and I were chatting with a mixed gender group. Everything was fun. We talked about all sorts of topics randomly. When the conversation turned to hooked up, it was an open discussion because we all had the mindset that we'd never meet these people again, so there was no need to censor our thoughts. At one point, a white girl in the group said she would never date or have hooked up with Asian guys. People in the discussion asked her why, and she responded, quote, "Asian guys look so feminine, and their dicks are the size of a gherkin." As an Asian guy, I found her comment incredibly toxic, so I replied, "Or maybe you're just scared that a normal, human-sized Richard wouldn't be enough to satisfy the wide, loosened shape of a softie like yours?" Her face went pale after my response, and she walked away. The rest of the group continued the conversation as if nothing had happened. Later, my boyfriend told me I had gone too hard on her since we'd never see her again anyway. Am I the jerk for replying like that? Yeah, that's kind of a mean, cringe thing to say to someone that you don't know. Not saying that her comment was appropriate either, but it's like, you don't fight fire with fire in that situation. So yeah, I think might have crossed the line there. Regular Noel 9 responded, "Everybody sucks here. Just something I've noticed generally is that when groups act like some incident never happened, it's because they agree with nobody involved and don't want to be asked their honest opinion. That your boyfriend also thinks you went too far once in private says a lot. Keep in mind that her failure at civility isn't an excuse for yours. It's just a second failure at civility." Inner Sight 3 responded, "True, she was wrong, but two wrongs don't make a right, OP. Although I can understand OP would be offended. She brought up a stereotype like fact and is something directly related to him. He is Asian and a man. She basically insulted him to his face." Our next story is, am I the jerk for calling ski patrol on a guy after he hit my son with his skis? My son, 11-year-old male, and I, 44-year-old male, recently booked a trip to go skiing in Colorado. It was my son's first time skiing, but we had seen a lot of skiing videos on YouTube, and he seemed really excited for the trip. We also live in Florida, so this is not the trip you can just go and do whenever you like. We're not rich. I grew up in Utah and I loved skiing when I was younger. And I would say I'm an expert on the mountain. The first day goes all good, and my son really enjoyed skiing for the first time, even though he fell a lot, lol. I made sure to be as supportive and caring as possible, even when he was struggling, because I wanted to make this as fun an experience as possible for him. However, on the second day of skiing, he says he's finally ready to ski down the whole mountain, and so we take the lift to the top. Luckily, there is a way to get down the mountain while only staying on the green level trails, so we took that way. My son is having a blast, when all of a sudden, this guy in his 20s careens into my son from behind going on insane speeds, wiping them both out. My son immediately started crying and came running to me after he got his skis off, and once he calmed down, he ran to the lodge where my wife was, and she decided to take him to the doctor's office. I immediately confront the guy for being so reckless, and he simply says that I should have been paying better attention to my kid, and then he rode off. That was the final straw for me, and I called the ski patrol number in the app and told the guy the situation and what the skier was wearing, and they told me they would find him and kick him out. Later on, I saw him getting escorted out of the park by 2 ski patrol officers, and when he saw me, he immediately started cursing me out and calling me a horrible dad. I tried to ignore it, but now I'm second-guessing myself if I overreacted. So, am I the jerk? I think this is a twofer here. Obviously, the act itself of him skiing and crashing into the sun and wiping him out, that's an issue, but I think that's something that could have been glossed over if he was sincerely apologetic, made sure that the kid was okay, but when you bulldoze a kid and then you're kind of a jerk about it, I think that OP reacted appropriately. You're already kind of in a heightened state of emotion, and now this guy is trying to gaslight you, saying that you should have watched your kid. So I don't think that you're the jerk here, OP. I think that you acted accordingly, and this guy deserved to be escorted out if he's going to be reckless and unapologetic. Crimson Knight 004 responded, "Not the jerk. Green trails are specifically beginner-friendly. Anyone who knows slopes would know that the path would be filled with kids and people still unsteady on their skis. I've never even been on the slopes, and I know that. He definitely needed to be more mindful and should have had the decency to at least apologize for potentially seriously injuring a kid. The authorities at the lodge knew he was reckless and dangerous, which is why they escorted him out. He shouldn't be there if he's going to endanger other guests, especially kids. They don't need a skiing lawsuit in the making on the grounds. I hope your son's okay and that this doesn't turn him off skiing. You're a good parent." Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking my wife to taste my food before she starts adding stuff to it? I cook for my family of 4 almost every night. I have a wide range of dishes I can make, and whenever I cook for people outside my family, they always go out of their way to tell me how much they enjoyed the meal, pretty much regardless of what it is. I even know a chef who currently runs a kitchen, and he's told me I have serious chops, especially for a home cook. My family, on the other hand, is used to my cooking, and I think they take it for granted. I don't think they realize that not everyone cooks like this. Honestly, the hardest part for me isn't making the food, it's deciding what to make. Every day, I ask my family, "What do you guys want? Is there anything specific I can make for you?" Tonight, my wife suggested chicken noodle soup. Easy enough. Then she said, or maybe chicken and rice soup. That got my mind going. I decided to make a creamy chicken and wild rice soup, thickened with a bechamel sauce to give it a rich, velvety texture. About 1 hour and 45 minutes later, the soup turned out amazing, really freaking good, and I'm my own worst critic. I let the family know that dinner was ready. No teenagers came out of their rooms. My wife was just hanging out watching TV, so I figured I'd finish cleaning up the last few things I hadn't gotten to while cooking, so the kitchen would be ready to go. By the time I was done, my wife finally wandered in and got a bowl of soup. Without even tasting it, she immediately reached for the cayenne pepper and started shaking it into her bowl. All I said was, "Hey, what are you doing? You haven't even tasted it yet." She got ticked and just walked off. So, am I the jerk for asking my wife to at least try the food as it's presented before dumping cayenne onto it? No, OP, I don't think that you're the jerk here. This is a home-cooked meal, right? It's not like you're just popping in a microwavable dinner or something like that. So you've carefully crafted the portions and, the ingredients and whatnot, and for someone to not even taste it and then, just start to kind of dilute it with other stuff, I think is perhaps not intentional, but I can definitely see how that would be hurtful to witness. So no, I don't think that you're the jerk for asking that. Comfortable18520 responded, "Not the jerk, but I just throw some box macaroni in the microwave for the family and take my rice leftover soup to work for lunch the next day. You're casting pearls before swine. You haven't mentioned very small children or people with no arms living in your household. If they complain, they can cook their own meals." Our next story is, am I the jerk for lashing out at my coach's assistant for making a joke about my dad who recently passed? So I, 16-year-old male, was at swim practice earlier today, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., and this is one of my first practices back after my dad passed in early December. Anyways, I come in and get changed as usual, and then I get showered and head out to the pool deck. Keep in mind, I've gained a bit of weight since the last time they've seen me, and I'm quite out of shape and struggling to keep up when we start the practice. My coach says welcome back and hugs me and stuff, and he basically catches me up on everything that's happened, what I've missed, etc. Then we start the warm-up. It was quite difficult for me as I haven't swam in almost 2 months. To begin the warm-up, we had to dive off the blocks. My dive was really slow and sloppy as I haven't practiced for a while. We get out of the water for the coach to explain the main set, and the coach's assistant, I think she's 38-year-old female, but I don't know for sure, says, quote, "It's a pity your dad couldn't have died a little later to save you from this practice." And she starts laughing, and I'm fuming at this point. I tell her to PO and to not talk about things like that, and I left early. My mom has called the coach and told him that what was said today was unacceptable, and that she thinks it's disgusting that an adult who I should view as an authority figure to trust and look up to would say such things. Am I the jerk? No, of course not. Of course not, OP. You're not the jerk. It's never appropriate or okay to make jokes about, deceased relatives, particularly if it's recent and a fresh wound, but it's never okay at all. So the only jerk here is the coach. I think we all know that. Crimson Knight 004 responded, "Not the jerk. OP, my jaw is on the freaking floor. No adult should say that to a kid, especially when that adult is in a position of authority. Heck, adults shouldn't even be speaking that way to other adults. That was cruel and heartless, and she should immediately be removed from her position. She has no business working with kids. I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope this person doesn't ruin swimming for you. It seems like it's something you're passionate about, and you should hold on as tightly to that as you can." SwimFast00 responded, "It's just really annoying me now because I haven't even been back to school properly yet. I've been going in only 2 to 3 days a week because I just can't do it. Swimming used to be something I could do to take my mind off things, but now it's like a chore. I already dreaded going back when I first took off in December, and now that I'm out of shape and struggling to keep up when I used to be the team captain and one of the best in the team, with the added stress of her upsetting me with the bad joke is really making me want to quit for good. But I'm going to just work it out somehow, hopefully." Our next story is, am I the jerk for laughing when my friend told me the baby name they picked? My best friend, I'll call her Kay, is pregnant, and we've been friends forever, like since middle school. We've been talking about baby names for weeks, just throwing out ideas for fun. She even joked about some really insane names, and we laughed about how some people pick the most cringe stuff, so I thought we were on the same page about what was reasonable. Fast forward to a few days ago, Kay tells me they finally picked a name, and it's something straight out of Genshin Impact or Skyrim. Not the real name, but think Zephyr Rocket or Banjo Fox. I honestly thought she was messing with me, so I laughed. Not like a mean laugh, just a genuine reaction like, wait, shut up, what's the real name? But nope, that was the real name. She got super quiet and was like, that is the name. I could tell immediately I messed up, so I tried to backpedal, but she looked kinda hurt and changed the subject. Later, a mutual friend told me she was upset and thought I was being rude. Now, the real tea is that she had a small get kickback with our friend group and didn't invite me. Like, literally everyone else was there. I found out after the fact, and it's hard not to feel like it's because of the baby name thing. I really didn't mean to be rude. I just genuinely thought she was joking based on our past convos. Am I the jerk for laughing, or is she overreacting? This is my best friend. I don't necessarily think that OP is a jerk here for laughing. It was just like an instinctual reaction and immediately appears to feel remorseful about it. I just think that a conversation needs to be had. If this truly is your best friend, you should be able to quickly talk this over and squash it and move on and continue to be supportive of each other. So yeah, kind of murky, but I think salvageable. Basil Saint Sadface responded, "Everybody sucks here. Not the jerk for laughing initially, but you are for apologizing. She's a jerk for her complete lack of consideration that her kid is going to have to deal with an idiot name for life, or at least until they can change it. That poor kid is destined for a life in your friend's basement. She's also the jerk for not being an adult and telling you her feelings were hurt. Chanticleiner responded, "You may be right that we all suck. I should have just doubled down and said absolutely not. I might just text her a screenshot of this post/reply." Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to keep changing dinner reservations for my sister's partner's birthday? My sister asked me to book dinner reservations for her partner's birthday, which she was supposed to organize. I secured a 5 p.m. reservation for 7 people at a popular restaurant and informed everyone 3 days in advance. The night before, she asked if I could move it to 6 p.m. because her partner had taken a last-minute work shift and wouldn't make it at 5. We were both frustrated, and she likely argued with him over it. Since the restaurant was always booked, I told her I'd try, but warned it was unlikely. When I asked about a backup plan, she said that I should just cancel it. She added that her partner was annoying for not being able to say no to work and that she was tired of doing things for people who couldn't be bothered to help out. The next morning, I called the restaurant, and they couldn't move the reservation, so I canceled it, assuming the dinner was off. But then my sister decided we should still celebrate at 6:30 p.m. at another restaurant. At this point, I was frustrated by all the last-minute changes and questioned why we were going out of our way for her partner when he didn't seem to care. She defended him, saying he had no family here and would have to spend his birthday alone, and that we shouldn't blame him for taking an extra shift to make more money. I suggested a restaurant, but she rejected it, choosing one she'd previously dismissed for bad ambiance. When I pointed this out, she got defensive, citing her exhaustion and travel. I asked why she planned dinner on the same day she was traveling, and my other sister and I suggested Sunday lunch, but she refused, saying her partner wasn't available. When asked if dinner was canceled, she exploded, blaming us for not helping and claiming she had no Wi-Fi on her flight. Later, she said her partner was available again, making me question why I'd canceled the original reservation. She yelled that no one could get ready for a 5 p.m. dinner and accused us of not caring, even though I'd followed her instructions. My other sister, who had rearranged her schedule, was also frustrated. She also gave us the impression that if we weren't able to secure a 6:30 reservation at the original restaurant, then we should just cancel. She swore at us for misunderstanding that is what she wanted. My sister then lashed out, saying she'd tell her partner no one cared about him. I reminded her she told me to cancel and had proof, but then she denied it and said we just assumed. She exploded, swore at us, and ranted about being the only one making an effort, despite me working 2 jobs and our other sister having a child to take care of. She said she booked a restaurant at 6:30 p.m., but we were so repulsed by her attitude, we decided not to attend. It would have been awkward, and knowing her, she would have made several sarcastic remarks and gave off a nasty vibe. I did get her partner a present though and sent it to him. My sister lost it, saying she was sick of convincing people and ended with a rage-filled message, telling us to go F ourselves and saying she hopes we live a life of trouble and misery. I called her a spoiled 40-year-old princess who always has to get her way, and she called me a waste of space and a loser and basically told us to go to heck. I tried to accommodate her, but she kept changing plans and blaming everyone. Am I the jerk for refusing to keep adjusting and backing out and not attending her partner's birthday dinner? Yeesh, what a mess. They're acting like catty teenagers. No, I don't think OP is the jerk here for finally just saying, you know what, forget it. You tried, she's waffling back and forth, and then trying to gaslight you. I think this is a situation that you're better off just extracting yourself from. Amaglian responded, just stop engaging in the drama. You're enabling her and frustrating yourself in the process, and then overthinking whether you'd be a jerk. For your own sake, just stop doing this. This is something that was on her to arrange, and by her attitude, I'm highly doubtful that it's the first time that she's thrown her toys out of the pram because you or your sister weren't dancing around her when she pulled the strings of her puppets. You'll probably think I'm being harsh, but if you learn to say no, your life will become so much better. And if Little Miss Entitled doesn't like it, let her have her tantrum and ignore it. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not paying the hotel of my friend's hookup? I, 27-year-old female, went on holiday with a group of longtime friends. We planned everything as a group. This includes my boyfriend Paul, 27-year-old male, Josh, 27-year-old male, and Jessica, 30-year-old female. 5 days in, Josh brought a random hookup, Cameron, 20-year-old male, into our apartment for the night. He can't speak any English and was totally drunk when we met him in the bar earlier. He even started touching Jessica and me, so we, Jessica, Paul, and me, left earlier. Josh still brought him home and hooked up with him that night. The next day, we told Josh we didn't enjoy his company and we don't want to hang out with him. 2 days later, we moved to our next location and Josh announced that day that Cameron is joining the next part of the holiday. We told him right away that is no option for us and we don't want to spend our holidays with him. Since Cameron already booked his flights, he joined without our permission and stayed in our prepaid accommodation. It wasn't possible to change accommodation at late notice due to costs and availability. We decided to not spend time with Josh and Cameron. That's why we planned different activities. We tried to avoid both of them during the next couple of days before we left to our home country. Just to clarify, Josh has a longtime boyfriend at home, and this was just a random holiday hookup. They're not in contact by now. Now we're back home and are going through our expenses. Josh wants us to cover for Cameron's part, 5 nights, as we booked the accommodation in advance for only us 4, and there wasn't any surcharge for a 5th person. We wanted to split it fairly into 5 parts. Am I the jerk if I don't pay his part? No, of course you're not the jerk. This guy kind of gate crashed on your trip uninvited, which I suppose would be fine if he paid his way and you guys were okay with it, but you vocalized that you did not want him to come along. He came along anyway and used the accommodations that you paid for, so no, he needs to pay his way. Not the jerk. Jeepers Creepers 74 responded, not the jerk. You repeatedly told Josh that Cameron was not invited and that you didn't feel comfortable around him, and he ignored you and brought him along anyway. Well, there's consequences for that. It doesn't matter that you originally planned to split the cost of the accommodations 4 ways. Josh forced a 5th person on you, and now it needs to be split 5 ways, with Josh paying Cameron's share. Josh is expecting you and Paul to each pay your own share. You're not getting some sort of couple's discounted rate, and so the same needs to apply to Josh and Cameron. Our next story is, am I the jerk for snapping at my husband for being forcefully nice? My husband is a nice guy, but sometimes he doesn't listen to me, and that really triggers me if he does it frequently enough. For example, he'll ask if I want some oranges. I'll say no thank you. Then he'll peel some oranges for me and offer me some. And then I'll say no thank you, and he leaves the bowl of oranges there. But imagine this happens for multiple scenarios daily. 95% of our fights is because he doesn't listen to me and thinks he knows better and keeps insisting and imposing his ideas on me. Today, I was holding our baby daughter, 2 months, and eating. He told me to eat first and he will hold our daughter. I told him I'm fine, it's finger food and I got it. I told him to eat first and then rear the toddler/baby after. Well, he insisted I should eat first and told me to give him the baby. I told him again, no, I'm okay, I can hold the baby. He then came over and grabbed the baby and repeatedly said, eat first, I'll eat after. I told him explicitly, no, let go, no, I'm fine, no, don't take her. You aren't listening to me and this will lead to a fight. This is disrespectful, please stop, while maintaining my hold on our baby. He kept grabbing the baby from my arms and I finally let go because I didn't want to make our baby feel uncomfortable or worse, hurt her. Like, God forbid we drop her while both trying to grab her. I was so ticked off he would not listen to me again and went as far as starting a tug of war with our baby. He says he's always trying to just be nice and I end up snapping at him. It's also important to know what we value the most in relationships is different. He values feeling like he's cared for and loved. I value being respected. I told him by not listening to me repeatedly, multiple times a week, he's disrespecting me. So now I feel crazy. I know he's trying to be nice, but I end up in a fight about how he doesn't listen to me at least twice a month. Edit. No, I don't think this is abusive because it's a learned behavior. He does this with his mom and vice versa, and after his mom gives in, she laughs and says, my son is so filial. Apparently they enjoy this. F my life. This behavior has exponentially gotten worse since his mom moved in, which is a totally different issue. I mean, am I crazy for suggesting just having a conversation about this? Like, if you're married to this man, I doubt that it's something that's just kind of spontaneously come up, a quirk of his, so it's something that you're just gonna have to work through, right? You're married, you've got a kid, so talk about it. In a serious tone, like when the baby's in bed, not while you guys are trying to eat and have a tug of war with the baby, you know? Ladosha responded, "He's not trying to be nice, he's trying to be controlling. You have to do as he says. You have to eat when he says. What's next? Ask for his permission to poop?" Playing tug-of-war with a baby is actually insane. Control and other abuse usually ramp up after big events like having a baby. Is he showing any other red flags? Illustrious Hole 307 responded, "I would also add, even if he's actually trying to be nice, it's not up to him to decide if he's succeeding at it. The actual impact of his behavior determines that. Instigating a tug-of-war with a baby because you know better is not particularly nice." Our next story is, "Am I the jerk? Asked for my house keys back from my mother as she just lets herself in with no heads up and has walked into my bedroom too many times now while I'm half asleep. So this happened yesterday. My mother just let herself into my house. I'm a 36-year-old woman. And walked into my bedroom at around 9:10 a.m. without a heads up she was coming over, nor asking if she could come over, or even knocking at the dang patio door that was open for my dog and yelling in that she was there. She just walked into my bedroom and proceeded to ask why I wasn't working from home yet, and after being told to leave, she pottered around in my kitchen cleaning stuff and attempted to fill the second dog water bowl. First and the one in my bathroom were full. She is essentially OCD, and it drove me nuts when I was a child, but coming into my house to nitpick everything is just unacceptable. I told her to leave multiple times, and after a good 5 minutes plus of that, I told her to get the F out ASAP. She did not take kindly to it, but she never takes kindly to me establishing boundaries. Her just walking in unannounced has happened around once every other month past couple of years, and my anxiety is off a cliff because of this and other personal stuff. I know she wants to help, but I'm going insane over the intrusiveness. I'm having mental health problems, severe depression and anxiety, and chronic insomnia, which I've been working on all through 2024, and now I'm going to have a first appointment with a psychologist next week. I just want to know if I'm overreacting or underreacting because this has been my whole life. Overstepping, boundary-pushing parents. Don't even get me started on what happened in Mexico when I was 21, and she overstepped, lol, severely during our group holiday. She tried to start cleaning my sink cause it was not up to her standards. I just cannot anymore. Yeah, judging by the age that OP shared that she was, this is about 30 years overdue, I would say. She definitely shouldn't be coming into your house unannounced, and damn sure not walking into your bedroom. That's just like some weird stuff. So, I mean, change the locks, take her key away, I don't know what else to say. But at some point, mommy's gotta cut the umbilical cord. Our next story is, would I be the jerk for sending a Venmo request to a neighbor/friend who borrowed my power washer 4 years ago? So, just to start out by saying, the neighbor friend that I'm referring to is less of a friend, more of an acquaintance through our daughters who are friendly. Nearly 4 years ago, the father of my daughter's friend reached out looking to borrow a power washer. The guy was a reasonable guy and generally seems to be trustworthy, but it has now been nearly 4 years and I've yet to get my power washer back. Every 3 to 6 months, I text him requesting for it to be returned. He responds indicating that yes, he will do so, but he never shows up. I'm perfectly fine with just having him leave it at the house by the garage, in case he's too embarrassed to confront me, but he still has not returned it. So my thinking is that I will send him a Venmo request for the replacement cost of the power washer, with the hopes that I either get a swift return or that he just pays for the replacement. Of note, he's a lawyer, and I have no desire to take him to small claims court or anything like that, but I don't want to just let it go. I mean, everyone kind of sucks here, like why are you just now doing this after 4 years? But also the other guy, the neighbor, just give it back. I mean, you know you have it. You guys just need to communicate, like ask if he's done with it. Presumably he is, it's been 4 years. And if not, then yeah, then he can pay you for it. But I mean, you guys just need to communicate. Puzzle-headed Royal 559 responded, "You would not be the jerk because it's your washer. However, it sounds like you suck at direct communication. Call him or just drop by and say you wanted to pick it up for a job you need. Before escalating your passive-aggressive behavior, try the direct route." Mother category 6661 responded, "Fair, I'm certainly a passive guy. Frankly, it would be easier if this guy wasn't the father of my daughter's oldest friend. At this point, it's more used by him and I would prefer a new one. I should have been more direct about it initially." And with that being said, guys, that is all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a like and drop a comment below. And if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. With that being said, I will see you all next time.